Okay, so on this video we're going to talk about the rationale for research methodology section. This section comes after your hypothesis. So you've written your aims and objectives detailing what you intend to do. Your hypothesis is simply a few lines just stating what you expect to find out from your research. So for example, I expect to discover that obesity rates in Wales are higher than the national average, something like that. Okay, so your rationale for research methodology. This is where you describe the methods you're going to use and why you've chosen them. So you need to be mentioning key words such as your primary research, secondary research. Okay, now the best way to do this, I find, is if you do it aim by aim. So for aim 1, you talk about what research you intend to do. So what you're looking for. Are you looking for data, information, opinions, facts? What are you looking for? Where would you get it from? So what websites or types of websites or books, or if you're conducting primary research, how are you going to do that? And then finally, what you will do with the research once you've gathered it. So this section, I've said, is approximately 200 to 500 words. That's a rough guide for particularly Key Stage 4. Key Stage 5 should be looking at a little bit more. So aim by aim. For aim 1, tell me what you will do and where you'll get it from. So what are you going to do for your secondary research? What are you going to do for your primary research? Aim 2, the same. Aim 3, the same. Now, when you're discussing your primary research, think about your maths lessons. You need to tell me who you're going to question and why. So you need to talk about your sampling method and how you've chosen the people you're going to get your research from. So it does, for some topics, it will matter whether what age groups you're looking at or what gender. How will it affect your results? Why have you chosen these people? So what type of sampling method you're going to use, a random, a stratified, etc. So think about your maths. Then what will you do with your results once you've got them? Are you going to display them in charts and graphs? Are you going to compare things? Are you going to analyse? Are you going to break down into categories? Give me the detail in this section. You can also discuss the reliability of your sources in this section. Now you need to do that for your primary and your secondary research. You need to show that you have considered what information is reliable and why. Or maybe there's some information that may be biased or have vested interest. And you need to show that you've considered that within your research. So that can also go into this section. If you know the websites or the books or the research sources you're going to use, then you can be quite specific about it. If you don't know, then talk about the types of research sources you're going to use. So for example, if you're looking at whether the government is tackling mental health issues amongst young people, you're going to be looking at government sources. You may also look at charity websites to see what the charities are saying. You may look at medical websites such as the World Health Organization or the NHS or NHS Wales, for example. So you can, even if you don't know specifically what your sources are at this point, you can still do your source evaluation based on the type of sources that you are going to consider. Okay, only discuss the sources and the research methodology that you are going to use. Don't discuss other methods. So if you're not going to do an interview for your primary research, don't waste words on explaining to me why you've chosen not to do that. Only talk about the research methods that you are going to use, why you've chosen them, and whether they're reliable or not. Okay, so the wording in this is very detailed. If I read this section, I should be able to produce your discussion. I should be able to find all your research. I should know whether it's reliable or not. I should be able to display it and actually produce the main body of your project from reading this section. So think of this section like a plan, okay? So some people confuse some of the wording and put some of the methodology wording into their aims and objectives. Try not to do that. The aims and objectives need to be, as we discussed in the previous video, based on the command verbs and giving us an overall view of what you're going to look at. The methods you will use to collect that information and that research is discussed in the Rationale for Research methodology.